can't stop. I can't stop. I can't stop. I can't stop.
Hello, Nerd Universe, and welcome to the 5th episode of Insert Nerd Topic Here. We're going to be talking about Season 1 of The Boys.
Big spoiler warning for those who haven't seen Season 1 of Amazon Prime's The Boys. I would highly recommend the show. I know Caroline would highly recommend this show. It is not recommended for... Well, it's not recommended for young audiences, let's put it that way. There's a lot of language, there's a lot of nudity, there's a lot of violence and gore that happens in the show, so that's just a little warning for you.
So if you're young or if you get really queasy at things, maybe not your show.
You have been warned.
But if you like things like Marvel and you want a good, I would call this a parody almost. This is definitely a thing you should watch. I've seen the entire season 3 times.
It is a fantastic satiristic parody of most superhero movies. More so, I would say, of the Justice League and the DC heroes. Because you can pretty much make direct comparisons between most of the superheroes in The Boys versus the superheroes in the DC universe.
I would definitely say that I could pick out a counterpart to every single one.
Yeah. So if you're a fan of superheroes, highly recommend checking it out. But anyway, we are going to check out what we've got today.
So I know one of the big things that, Chris, you talked about when we were watching the show was that they make superheroes like a business.
Yeah, the corporatization of superheroes with this whole company, VOD American or VOD International, that runs them. It's just so interesting because, you think being a superhero, like when we see them in the MCU, you've got superheroes being superheroes as their job, right? Because they do it, but they don't get paid. They do it for the record. They do it because
for good reasons.
They do it because they're saving the world, right?
Yeah.
But in The Boys, they're doing it to get paid.
They get paid. They get recognition.
They get
fame.
They get fame and bonuses, and they're building this superhero brand, and it's a really interesting take, I think, and it's something that you pretty much never see anywhere else, because in the Marvel universe and in the DC universe, nothing's really corporatized. The Avengers, I guess you could say, are a corporate organization, except they don't really profit off of it. They're funded by the government.
They just do their thing.
Yeah.
But I know there was a couple times where if they were talking to Homelander, who is a lot like Captain America if he went dark.
Yeah, or like Superman if you're thinking DC universe here.
I think it's almost... Yeah, if you combine both of them and then made him darker, I think you have Homelander.
Made him a villain, essentially.
Villain, yeah. But when they were talking to Homelander about his brand, he wanted to change something in the speech he was going to give at some point, and I know that they were just like, no, your brand is America, baseball, freedom.
Yeah, I think it was Stillwell that told him
Stillwell.
that. And Stillwell and just the whole company as a whole, the whole VOT organization is just crazy.
I would call it corrupt. I would go that far. It is corrupt. That is
it is. Several people have mentioned that it is a corrupt organization, especially with the whole drugging babies thing, but we'll get to that later. So that I think is such a unique take on the superhero name, and it's something that, I don't know, I think it adds to the satire of it, because instead of, there being super villains or anything like that, there's legitimately a company that is the villain, that is controlling all these superheroes to do terrible things, basically.
And making supervillains around the globe.
Yeah, and the fact that they, use their own Compound V to create supervillains so that these superheroes can fight is ridiculous.
Homelander did that mostly by himself, and I think we see that when he tells Stillwell that, because the look she gets on her face is shock.
She's shocked for a second, but then she's happy.
Because she's like, terrorists, that's really bad. But also, they are terrorists.
Also, big money coming out of that.
That only my superheroes can fight.
Right.
So it's a win.
Yeah, exactly. and the 7, being Vaught's like main group is something that I think it's cool. I like it. All right, so do we want to talk about Huey and A-Train's relationship?
There are so many relationship crossovers in this that it's like a huge web of just talking about so many different things. We can start with Huey and A-Train.
Yeah.
So the thing about A-Train is he's a drug addict. And with Compound V, which is what we find out to be the superhero drug.
Yeah.
That not only makes superheroes, but amps up the powers of existing superheroes. So the whole reason Huey actually has any problem with anybody is because A-Train legitimately runs through his girlfriend Robin.
Yeah, and that happens, by the way, within like the first 10 minutes of the show. So.
And it was happening in the trailer, so I'd hardly call that a spoiler.
Yeah, it's really not even a spoiler at this point. But yeah, I like that that's Huey's motivation, and I think it kind of powers him through the rest of the season. Yeah, and I think he shows pure hatred for A-Train at times, and then there's other times where he's like, all right, well.
Well, I think I really like when, after it happened and they went to Robin's funeral, and then the lawyer guy comes and is like, this is a boilerplate NDA.
We're just going to give you $45,000 in, we're just going to pay you to, not say anything.
And he's just like, in his mind, he's just like, are you serious?
Are you kidding me right now?
You think you can run through my girlfriend and get away with it? This should be on the news. You should be in trouble for this. I should be getting at least an apology. And they're just
a lot more money than that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
How much am I worth, if somebody ran through me?
Yeah, exactly.
I like to think I'd be more than like 25, 35, 45,000. I would like to be above the hundreds.
I would like to not have a quantifiable value. Like, I would like to be, priceless. Well, but it's fine. It's human lives. It's fine,
Of course you're priceless.
Oh, thank you.
But it definitely is like that's a weird feeling, I think. And
yeah,
when he's like, can I think about it? They almost seem shocked that he wants to think about taking that non-disclosure agreement. Because I guess most people are just like, oh yeah, we'll take the money.
Yeah, but he's really angry. And he, I don't think he feels that he can do anything about it until Butcher comes to him and is like, hey, got this idea for you.
Yeah, I'm in the FBI.
Yeah, but no.
But no, and we have this thing we can do for you.
And I think Butcher is another fascinating character in this show, who is a pretty prominent character in the show. And his whole beef with Homelander is like, well, it's his whole reason for joining the boys in the first place.
I would say it's justified.
Yeah, it's pretty justified. But I do think he gets a little carried away at times, like when he's talking to the deputy director of the FBI or the CIA, sorry, and he has a list of demands before he gives her the Compound V. He's like, okay, well, you got to get me Homelander before I will accept.
That's way too hard. It's not possible.
But I don't even think the CIA has that kind of jurisdiction, which is terrible. They really should.
No one can control the soups.
Yeah, especially the 7.
Yeah, especially Homelander.
Yeah.
Of all the 7.
Right. Yeah.
And so when they do that, it's insane the way he just his wife disappeared for years.
And he had no idea she was alive
the entire time. And
I think he assumed she might have been alive. I think he had some hope in him that she's still alive, because I don't think they ever found a body.
Well, they didn't.
Well, obviously they didn't. Yeah.
But because he goes as far as to destroy the gravestone that they put up in memory of her.
Right, because she's not dead.
It's not a hate crime.
Yeah. Right, it's not a hate crime. Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty sound motivation on his part, although I do think he gets a little carried away.
I don't know what Frenchie and Mother's Milk problem is for them to have joined the boys, necessarily. Frenchie's a sketchy character in general, where he's off the grid.
He's got a pretty seedy background. I think I don't know if he's a hitman or what he does like in his. I mean, when he's not in the boys.
He's just a weapons expert.
He's a weapons expert. He's a chemist. Yeah, chemist. Yeah. Butt bomb enthusiast. Thank you. Yeah, which is later noticed with translucent.
He's so smart though.
Yeah, I mean he kind of develops all these cool plans. He's the brains of the crew.
And
kinda.
He's got a heart, even though he's got the tough exterior.
Which we notice with Kimiko.
Kimiko, yeah, in the, definitely.
When they encounter her,
because she's terrifying when you meet her. Like, I don't think I would be like, oh, we need to help this one. You know, I would be like, we need to lock this one up so it doesn't get to us.
Yeah, but it turns out she to be okay. Thankfully,
she just needed some love.
Yeah,
that's fine. Don't we all? Let's talk about Starlight.
Yeah, go for it.
So, Starlight, pure, innocent. 2 words I would describe her probably perfectly.
Yep.
I would say she's pretty powerful. She can blind people.
Yeah, and she can shoot these light beams from her hands that hurt people.
It's just, it looks insane to me.
Yeah.
I don't know about it, but she also just doesn't understand that the 7 is so corporate. And so she goes into it, and it's like her dream of being accepted into the 7, and she gets to come from Iowa, which is not a heavy populated area.
Yeah, Des Moines, Iowa.
And she gets to be part of this amazing group and meet all her heroes that she's had posters of her whole life. And that all goes sour very quickly.
Literally upon her entering the meeting room.
With her little interesting meeting with the Deep.
Yeah. We don't need to describe that.
No. If you watch the show, you know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's but I like that she becomes more powerful, not with her powers, but through the episodes, she takes more responsibility on herself and is less willing to be like, oh, okay, since they're telling me to do this, I'll do this.
Yeah.
And more of like, I don't want to do that, and I don't have to do that, so I'm not gonna do that.
Mm-hmm. Also, can we like comment on her about like the fact in the very last episode after she gets shot by Butcher?
She just gets up.
Well, the fact that Huey kind of led Butcher there unintentionally. Huey didn't know. But the fact that Starlight just kind of like pretty quickly turned around and forgave him.
She did forgive pretty quickly, but she also realized, I think again pretty quickly, how corrupt the 7 was and how corrupt Vought was.
Yeah, and I think at the very beginning of season 2, she and Huey should have a little bit of a talk.
A little heart to heart.
Because I think, because when they reunited after that, they were kind of busy fighting A-Train, and fighting their way out of a prison from Vought.
I definitely think the biggest change in her was during the Believe Expo.
Yeah.
Because, the Believe Expo is what she had been going to when she was a kid with her mom, and they would go every year and travel. And then she gets there, and she's excited about it, and it's not the same.
Yeah.
And she's, like, realizing that all of these people are trying to be, I would say, not inclusive, just in general. Because, they make her lie, basically. And they're like, because one girl asks about her friend that's Hindu. I think it's Hindu.
Yeah.
And if she should bring her to Jesus. Convert her. And Starlight's kind of like, well, you should accept her and still be friends with her. And then the priest is just like, it is your responsibility to convert and bring her to heaven. And I'm just like, whoa.
That was a little extreme.
I'm all like, y'all can have whatever religion you want, but just don't shove it down everyone's throats.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's where it gets a little crazy for me. I don't like that.
And also, this is another little corporate VOT thing that they do. But when they're Homelander and Starlight, when they're speaking, and they both have like a script that they have to say for the publicity.
But they both broke them.
They both broke script, both in good ways and bad ways.
Yeah.
I'd say Homelander's more for the bad. Starlight's more for the good.
Isn't Homelander normally for the bad?
Yes, he is generally a
villain.
Villain? Question? I mean, yeah, I would go as far out to say he's a villain.
I think because the first episode you see Homelander and you're like, wow, this dude is actually genuinely decent. You know, he's actually doing good things. That
gets turned around so fast.
And then it turns around like whiplash.
Yeah.
And I think I had some hope about him.
Yeah.
Up until the plane incident.
Yeah, the plane. That was terrible.
First of all, he brought down 2 planes.
Well, the first plane, which plane incident you're talking about? You're talking about the first one where he kills the I don't know who that was. A senator?
I don't know. A mayor, senator. He was a corporate douche. So, he was a big wig, I guess you could say, and killed him and his son.
Yeah.
In their private jet on the way home.
Yeah, that was dark.
I think what really hit me with that one is the kid looking out the window and going, "Look, there's Homelander."
Look, it's Homelander. And the mayor going, what's he doing out here?
Yeah.
And then the eyes just glowing red.
Eyes glowing. And that is such a powerful episode end.
Yeah, was that the first episode?
That's the first episode.
Yeah. So Homelander turns himself around.
In one episode.
One episode.
But I think that wasn't even the part I meant, though.
You meant the Flight 37 part.
That was hijacked.
Mm-hmm.
And he messed up. You know, they went to save it.
And when he went into the cockpit and...
just completely blew it up.
Yeah, there was another hijacker in the cockpit and accidentally shot the entire console with his laser beams. The entire control panel with his laser beams, and it brought the plane down.
Which is not great. And I feel so bad for, well, obviously the people on the plane, but also for Queen Maeve, because you can tell she genuinely
just wanted to save people.
She wants to help people, and he's just like,
we have to go.
You either come with me or you die with them.
And the fakeness he puts on after
that when they're walking through.
We are so sorry about all the lives lost on Flight 37. We got there 3 minutes after the plane went down.
If we had been told sooner, we could have been there and saved them.
If we were in the army, we would have been fine.
That's so bad. That's so corrupt, and I can't. And that happens over a course of several episodes, and he's like, "Yeah, I saved that flight." And to Stillwell, and she's like, "Really? You're gonna talk to me about saving that flight?"
Yeah.
What he meant is he made it into a good thing for them, good publicity
for the company. Yeah.
But still, all those people died, and he just doesn't care.
Yeah.
But I don't think he had a good childhood because he was in a lab like his whole life.
Right. We know that he was raised by that doctor, and we know that his real name is John, but I think that was all they know about him. I don't think he never had a family. He just he was a lab rat from the beginning. And
I think that's, well, because the doctor talks about the dogs where it's like, because he's a dog breeder, if they grow up without a mother, they get angry and violent and just bitter.
Yeah.
And I think we see that in Homelander as well. Because he grew up without his mother.
And for a while, he was a decent superhero until we see him in the show. At least.
As far as we know.
As far as we know, he has been decent up until this point.
But we know that there has been corruption because Mallory's grandchildren were destroyed by Lamplighter.
Yeah. Lamplighter being the predecessor, or the Yeah, the predecessor to Starlight.
So there's always been some level of corruption and cover-up going on.
Yeah, and Vought has, notoriously done a pretty good job of covering everything up for the most part.
It's kind of terrifying that they have that kind of power.
It's kind of terrifying that they can.
I think that one kind of, having that kind of company that's just, I would say that's a monopoly. Nobody else is controlling superheroes at that point. And they just they control everything. They control the publicity stuff. They control the news outlets. People can say what they want, but for the most part, it's what Vought wants them to say.
To some extent, they even control the crime that happens.
Yeah, because they track when crime's going to happen. That's gross.
They track it like before the police even knows about it.
And that's just...
That's
why would
terrible.
you not... And they wait until the biggest possible second to make it a big deal, instead of, snipping it before it happens.
Yeah, and the fact that they can't actually go out and do it on their own, like Starlight does, for example, when she saves the girl from those two guys on her own, as her secret identity, so to speak, as Annie. They can't do that. They have to save crime, or they have to stop crime that's happening on their watch, basically.
And she got in trouble for saving that girl.
Yeah, because the cameras were on.
Always look for the cameras.
Always look for them. Yeah.
That's so creepy. It's
ridiculous.
What do you think about Popclaw?
I think her and A-Train's relationship is weird.
I feel bad for her in the end, though.
I do. Well, I feel really bad for her in the end when A-Train pumps her full of heroin.
And then, yeah, because...
And kills her.
I think that's weird, though, because A-Train goes and blames Huey for her dying when he's the one that killed her.
Yeah. It had nothing to do with Huey. Like, let's be real. It was not Huey's fault.
No, not even in the slightest.
Like, it was his fault that they were using Compound V in the first place. And so it was entirely his fault that she died.
He just wants to find some kind of excuse to make it better. Yeah.
And when A-Train breaks into Huey's apartment and blackmails him, basically. And when Kimiko breaks A-Train's leg.
That is so gross. It's awesome.
To see the bone coming out of the leg. Ooh.
But he heals pretty quickly.
Well, I mean, the Compound V is also a healing thing.
It's like a steroid.
It's just crazy painkillers and it's ultimately what causes A-Train to have a heart attack.
Yeah,
in the last episode.
What's really interesting about that is we know A-Train is the fastest man alive.
But he's got some competition.
Would you go to a race on a racetrack between the two fastest people in the world?
And we're talking people that can do this entire race in less than a second. So what do we say? 3 milliseconds or something is what they said.
Money and wait in line to get your ticket, and you stand and wait for the race to start.
And probably a lot of money.
Pay money for food, and it probably just wastes your time because you're not even going to be able to see who finishes first.
Yeah. Like, the race will be over before you even blink.
Do you think Shockwave would have beat A-Train if A-Train wasn't on V?
Probably. Although, in the, slow-mo replay that they did on the Jumbotron, you could only see A-Train on the Jumbotron.
He was fast, but he was also on drugs.
Right. He was...
So...
Yeah. I don't know. I think Shockwave probably could have.
He has his own shoe line, so he had a chance.
I'm sure A-Train does too. That's probably true.
He just gets really bitter and angry at the end because he knows that he's getting older and he knows that Compound V is making him weaker.
Yeah, the fact that he can be replaced if he's no longer the fastest man alive.
And that he would be.
Yeah, he would legitimately be replaced by Vought. They would fire him essentially because he's no longer capable of doing his job. That's just weird.
That's just because he's not the best anymore and they want the best.
Yeah.
Which is kind of how it be, but it sucks.
All right, let's talk about Compound V. Because it's a really weird but cool like interesting take on how superheroes are made.
They're shooting up babies with blue liquid.
The baby scene in the hospital is hilarious.
I just love the fact where he just picks up the baby and just lasers all the guys in there, and he's like, "You're beautiful," and just kisses it. It's like, "You keep your nose clean or I'll come get ya." It's like, oh god, that was so funny. That's good comic relief, but also terrifying.
I mean, it's really messed up, but it's hilarious in the moment.
It is messed up.
Yeah.
And then you realize, like, Starlight, the Deep, they all had that done.
They're all products of a drug, of
the terrorists on the other side of the world.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so basically, they're all cornered.
Well, the terrorists on the other side of the world, what's interesting is they're actually being tested as adults. So they're not being injected with Compound V as a kid, as most of those superheroes in the United States are. They're testing it on adult subjects, and it seems to be working. Clearly.
Well, it worked enough for some of them to survive, to make an issue.
Right. But yeah, the just the whole lab experiment thing, like every superhero is a lab experiment, and it's all trying to be covered up as best as they can by Vought. And at the moment, the boys know that. The boys know, and they want to reveal that secret, but they want to find the best way to do so, I think.
So what do you think about the end?
I thought the ending was really good.
It was epic. It was predictable if you're watching the last episode.
Yeah, if you're only watching if you're watching the last episode, you kind of know what's going on. If you watch the trailer for season 2, it is the opening of the trailer is the last shot of season 1.
But you should not be watching the trailer to season 2 if you have not watched season 1. Shame on you.
That is correct. But I think the whole season the whole scene in Stillwell's house with Homelander and Butcher is really dark.
It's so tense.
And really tense the entire time. When he picks up the baby, I really thought he was going to melt the baby. But he didn't. He melted Stillwell, and then Butcher blew up the house.
We assume the baby blew up with it.
Yeah, I think that's pretty safe to assume.
And then Butcher finds out that his wife is alive with Homelander's child.
Yeah. Whoa. What a twist.
Hope we learn more about that. I hope that he gets to talk to her, Butcher gets to talk to her about what happened.
Yeah.
Because I feel like he deserves some closure. And
I don't know how Homelander exactly found this out, because you remember Stillwell told him that Becca Butcher, the child, died.
That she had a miscarriage.
She died in childbirth, and the baby... She didn't die in childbirth?
No, that they said that she had a miscarriage, and then the doctor said that when she was giving birth, the baby clawed out of her, and they both died.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, and the baby drowned in the blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Horrifying.
Which is obviously not true, as we see at the end of the season. But I don't know how Homelander found that out.
Because he went back and tortured the doctor, and to get the truth out.
Oh, right. That's right. Yeah. Okay.
I'm really excited to see where season 2 goes. There's 10 seasons. 10 seasons. 10
seasons.
Oh, I hope so. 10 episodes next season, whenever it's going to come out. It keeps getting delayed. It was supposed to be the middle of summer, and now they're saying maybe fall, maybe next year.
End of 2020, beginning of 2021. We don't really know.
I have my fingers crossed for July or August, personally.
Do you have any big predictions?
I predict that we're going to get a lot of moments between Starlight and Huey.
Mm-hmm.
I predict we're going to learn a lot more about Kimiko.
Yeah.
I think I predict that we're going to see Homelander go off the rails a lot more.
Even more, yeah. I think he's going to stay the villain throughout this entire show. And
I hope so.
I think the last season of the show will be his demise or something. We'll see. I don't know.
I think that's all we got to talk about today.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. And you can stay to the end of the episode to hear about ways to contact us for future ideas for the episodes.
Next week, we're going to be talking about The Witcher. It's going to be part 2 of the first episode of The Witcher we had. We're going to be talking more about the books, the shows,
the game, all of it, even our new Gwent cards.
We bought a Gwent deck. So we're going to talk all about that, and hope you guys tune in next week. Thank you.
Stay tuned. Bye.
Insert Nerd Topic Here is hosted by Caroline Vaught and Chris Rogers.
Connect with us on our social media pages. On Twitter @NerdTopicsPod. On Instagram @NerdTopicsPodcast. On Facebook, Insert Nerd Topic Here Podcast or @Nerd Topic Podcast. Or subscribe on YouTube, Insert Nerd Topic Here.
Reach out to us via email at insertnerdtopics@gmail.com. New episodes release every Saturday at noon Central Time. Thanks for listening.